Mhm. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. We are watching the final bits of the Miami Grand Prix, but this is reviewing it. Max Verstappen comes all the way back from 9th into 1st to win Miami. His teammate Sergio Perez finishes in 2nd, and Fernando Alonso in that Aston Martin finishes in 3rd. Just to go over some of the results from that race there, we go and see Max Verstappen and say 1, 2, and 3 went over. George Russell did very well to get himself into 4th. Carlos Sainz dropped from 3rd place on the grid to 5th in the final standings there. Lewis Hamilton goes up into 6th from 13th. A great race from Lewis Hamilton as well there. Charles Leclerc from P8 into P7 after yesterday's crash. He didn't crash today. Pierre Gasly in 8th. Esteban Ocon in 9th. And Kevin Magnussen rounding off the top 10. Poor day for Logan Sargent at 20th, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris in 19th and 17th, respectively, for McLaren. Nick de Vries in 18th, Guan Yu Zhou in 16th, Nico Hulkenberg in 15th, Alexander Albon 14th, Valtteri Bottas in 13th, Lance Stroll in Aston Martin in 12th, and Yuki Tsunoda in 11th to round off the bottom 10. So fantastic drives there for Red Bull, getting maximum points. Max Verstappen getting fastest lap as well. Reese, talk us through that Grand Prix.
Well, just from the start there, the bad start for Max Verstappen, losing a place as we are currently watching them making their way to the podium in little buggies. Always quite the spectacle here in Miami. But yes, Max Verstappen choosing to start the race on a set of hards out of sync with the rest of the grid, starting on mediums. But it certainly seemed to be the right strategy call for the Red Bulls here today, as the hards were able to go all the way till lap, I think it was
46,
47,
yeah.
46 or 47 out of 57 laps. So he only had a handful of laps to do on those set of medium tires that he changed to at the end.
Indeed, and that certainly worked out for him. The best overtake of the day was probably from Max Verstappen on Sergio Perez, taking him to move himself into 1st right near the end there. A long overtake. He used the last DRS straight, then onto the start-finish straight, using the DRS to get close to him, and then going around the outside to then cut around the inside on turn 2 to take Sergio Perez and move himself into 1st. After that, he did go and set the fastest lap of the day. Looking at the fastest laps that were set by all the drivers, Max Verstappen set a 129.7. Fernando Alonso set a 130.5. Perez sent a 130.5 as well, and Lewis Hamilton a 130.6. So some very fast times being put in today and beating the record from last year. So great day of racing in terms of good fast times. And yeah, a few more overtakes than last Grand Prix. Wasn't the most exhilarating Grand Prix, but wasn't dull either.
No, certainly not a dull race, but I mean, we still want to see some more racing down the back of the grid. We don't just want to see some fighting for the top 10. We want to see people fighting down all the way down to 20th. But Logan Sargent and the 2 McLarens, as well as that AlphaTauri of Nick de Vries, just being really far off the pace. I mean, Logan Sargent and Oscar Piastri both being lapped, with Nick de Vries being 1 minute and 28 seconds off of the lead of the race.
Yeah, really, really slow times down there at the end. The Logan Sargent got off to a terrible, terrible start of the race. Went into the back of Lando Norris after braking late and locked all of his tires up there. Going into the back of him, put some damage onto his front wing, which had to be replaced, resulting in a very long pit stop for him. And he was right at the back of the grid from the get-go, basically, and could never make its way back up. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris just couldn't find pace in those McLarens. Lando Norris may be done off a little bit from Logan Sargent going into the back of him. Lando Norris had to go into the pits relatively quickly after that. Nick de Vries also, again, not a great race for him today in 18th. Guan Yu Zhou also couldn't do much in 16th. Not a bad day at the office, though, for Haas, with Kevin Magnussen sitting in 10th. He did start in 4th and was fighting a lot of the time with some big cars and doing very well there, but in the end, does have to concede points to everybody else. Alpine had a fantastic day, though, in 8th and 9th place. Probably could have finished a little bit higher. Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon right next to each other, getting some decent points for Alpine.
A car that found place, though, out on track there today was Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he had a terrible, terrible qualifying session yesterday, starting down in 13th, but he was able to pull himself up to, what was his final finishing position?
He finished in 6th there, so yeah.
Yes, very good day out there for Lewis Hamilton. Certainly not where he'd want to be, but better than where he qualified yesterday, that is for sure.
Yeah. So looking at points-wise, we see Red Bull, as I say, take all the points. But Aston Martin do get a 16 points for Fernando Alonso there. But I do think Mercedes might well be right on the tails of Aston Martin right now. I'm just going to go try and just go and see. But the constructors' points makes it a lot more interesting today. Both Ferraris at least finishing the race, which doesn't often happen, unfortunately, this season at the moment. But just looking at some replays in that race there, just seeing there the Red Bull taking one of the Ferraris there and them having a laugh in the pit there for Verstappen, Perez, and Alonso. But yeah, lots of points have been shared from various teams as a result of that race.
We definitely saw some scraps going as well with Fernando Alonso, but further down the grid. I think we had him fighting Esteban Ocon at one point in the race, as well as fighting with Carlos Sainz. Had a bit of a switcheroo. At one point, Carlos Sainz was up into third, and Fernando Alonso was down fourth, and then they fought it out again, and Alonso just came out on top today.
And yes, just to go with those constructors' points, we currently have Red Bull on 180 now as a result. Aston Martin on 87. They were a bit clearer than Mercedes, but now Mercedes are starting to catch their heels as a result of Hamilton finishing in sixth and Russell in fourth. So we now do see Mercedes move up to 76 points. In terms of drivers' standings, Max Verstappen extends his lead to Sergio Perez to 119 points, where Sergio Perez is on 105. Fernando Alonso, however, back up to 75 points. Lewis Hamilton in fourth with 56. Carlos Sainz in fifth with 44. George Russell with 40 in sixth place as well. So, yeah, good points there for Red Bull, and Fernando Alonso just making sure he stays ahead of the rest of the pack in the Drivers' Championships and keeping Aston Martin in second behind Red Bull.
Red Bull will be very happy with that big points haul that they have today. Now over 200 points in the constructors, over 100, and I think 120 points ahead of their closest rival right now.
Is it? Because I'm seeing 180 points.
Yes, it's. What is the Aston Martin? Sorry, I think it was 102.
Never mind. Yeah, no, you've got the correct one. Yeah, you've got the correct one. Yeah.
It's a massive, massive lead at the moment in the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships for Red Bull. They certainly are running away with this championship at this point, as we are now watching the podium ceremony getting underway here in Miami.
Fernando Alonso makes his way out.
Per usual, as we have. Yes. Alonso looking quite sweaty there in his race suits, just seeing all of those sweat marks. So it was clearly a very hot day out in Miami. It's extremely humid, even though they had a lot of wind gusts. It's still very, very hot inside that race car.
So notably, of course, we now have Verstappen running out and getting the cheers from the crowd, of course, finishing first. Perez and Verstappen, very, very trivial between the two. No fighting there at all, as we do see anthems now starting to play. So great for Red Bull there, not having any spats at the moment, at least, from that race. Of course, it's going to be very difficult to manage the season with Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen fighting it out for the Drivers' Championship.
Yes, I don't have too many other comments on the race today. I mean, other than Max having that stellar move from the middle of the grid up into first, I don't have too many takeaways from this.
I'll tell you what I will take away is the fact that Fernando Alonso is such a cool, calm, and collected character that he's currently sitting in third on the grid. And what happened there? He managed to see Lance Stroll make an overtake late on in the race into turn one, and could tell the team, he said, what happened to what position is Lance in now? I see a very good overtake in turn one, which means he was watching TV whilst he was racing. And that just tells you how good of a driver he really is. He has the time to just go and multitask. You know, he's driving a Formula One car at the speed of light and then looks to his right, sees a TV, goes, oh, that's a good overtake. Yeah, no, well done.
It just shows how these drivers are able to think at such high capacity in these Formula One cars. They're not only driving the fastest cars on earth while making micro adjustments to their differential, their braking balance, as well as multiple other bits of the car, but they're also able to watch TV now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just insane race there from Fernando Alonso. Of course, can't really compete with those Red Bull cars, but still showing the fact that this Aston Martin's got the pace to really stamp themselves into second at the moment. So it's all up to Lance Stroll to really start to get his A into gear and qualify better so that he can hopefully finish further up the grid. He did well to get from 18th into 12th place, but he should have finished higher had he actually made it into the next qualifying session yesterday. Nonetheless, Aston Martin will still be happy with another third place for Fernando Alonso.
Yes, as we now have the national anthems wrapping up here in Miami, I'm sure we will get some champagne being sprayed very soon. But Mark, any last thoughts about the race here today?
Well, I think Christian Horner knows that he's got to start to manage this what's going to happen now on Twitter. I'm sure after this race is going to say how much talking was there between Max Verstappen and the team versus Sergio Perez and the team, and I'm sure we're going to have a little bit of controversy built up there. Some of it true, some of it not, of course, and it'll be something that he'll need to manage with the team. Nonetheless, Red Bull will be very happy with that today. And I think the only thing I will say is Ferrari need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. Carlos Sainz starting in third, finishing in fifth. Leclerc starting in eighth, only finishing in seventh. They couldn't really do anything today. And not just that, of course, the biggest team that really need to go and fix their problems, as we keep going on about, is McLaren, who cannot get anything right at the moment.
Yes, just having a look at a bit of a comment from Carlos Sainz, just saying before the race happened today, Carlos Sainz said Max will come from behind and will definitely overtake us. That is normally what should happen, because in the races this year, we've seen a difference of 6 to 8 tenths for a race of 50 laps. That is a very, very big gap. And of course, making that prediction a reality here today.
Yeah. So Verstappen does come from ninth to win Miami Grand Prix in 2023. Sergio Perez started on first, finished in second. Alonso started in second, finished in third. So a good race for those two as well. Guys, thank you so much.
I've just seen a comment here from Jeremy Clarkson, though, on Twitter talking about that horrific intro where they were introducing each and every driver and saying on Twitter, this Miami intro, can such a thing never happen ever again? I think we agree with you, Jeremy Clarkson.
Yes, we very much do. Nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for watching Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. Reese, you have been Reese. I have been Mark, and we'll, of course, see you in the next race. And be sure to join us for our live stream tomorrow. Hopefully, we will do a live stream for our weekly show. And be sure to go and join us for that. And give any comments you thought about the weekend in Miami. And until then, guys, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.